I now give the floor to Julian Mack from the Toledoans for Safe Water, followed by Rafaela Iturralde.
First off, I'd like to say how thankful I am to be able to be here as a citizen of the world, a citizen of the United States, Ohio, and the great city of Toledo. It is so appropriate that we are here on Earth Day, what I grew up calling Earth Day, but as I understand to be Mother Earth Day today, because that is, in fact, where all of our life comes from, and how important it is for us to be able to sustain life. And this is, I believe, a quest that we all need to be in together. And as I bring up the fact that we're all in this together, I would be remiss as we went through a water crisis in Toledo, to not mention my neighbors to the north in Flint, Michigan, who have now gone 1,462 days without clean water. It was just 1 year ago today where I was in Flint, Michigan, giving out water to residents. And that is something I believe that is very important. That spirit of looking out for our neighbor, of looking out for each other, that we continue to remember as we go back to our respective places throughout the earth. One thing I wanted to bring up here is that I'm very proud of my community and the history that we made with Rights of Nature. But I also come from a country that does some things that I'm not so proud of. Where 97% of scientists believe in climate change. Unfortunately, only 6 out of 10 Americans believe that humans have an impact on climate change. We need to change this type of the educational structure, and I believe the corporate influence on that educational structure is seen oftentimes in our elections, and it was great. It was definitely seen in our fight to make the Lake Erie Bill of Rights become law. The opposition and the Lake Erie Bill of Rights threw out many flat-out lies and things that were not true about us. We're a scrappy group of activists, and we are willing to do what it takes to protect our Mother Earth. We raised about $6,000, all locally between us. It was recently found out and discovered that the opposition spent $300,000, and those funds came from BP, who ironically accused us of being out-of-town activists, as I said before, which was a flat-out lie and use of misinformation. So we now find ourselves in a legal fight to make sure that what 61% of Toledoans voted and agreed to become law of the city of Toledo remains law. We have an uphill battle because we understand the influence that corporations have had on our educational system and have had on our culture in general, as well as our political system and our judicial system. We talk about harmony with nature. In my personal experience, I've seen the greed of corporate interests interrupt the harmony of nature that many of my friends and fellows want to have. So my question to the panel is this. I come from a community that has made their decision very clear that Lake Erie deserves rights. Lake Erie is a living thing and should be treated as such. How can we continue to overcome the obstacles in front of us when there is so much corporate interest and corporate influence on our educational system, on our judicial system, and on our culture as we try to move forward in the pressing issue that is caring for and protecting our Mother Earth. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. And I wonder, I'll now give the floor to Ms. Caban.